Thank you for being with us. Our top story tonight, the highest-ranking Vatican official ever to face trial in the Holy See's criminal court was found guilty over the weekend. Cardinal Angelo Becciu has been sentenced to more than 5 years in prison on several counts of embezzlement. The 75-year-old cardinal is the Pope's former chief of staff. Several other defendants were also found guilty of financial crimes and face similar jail sentences. It marked the culmination of a nearly 2.5-year saga known as the Vatican's trial of the century. EWTN News Vatican Correspondent Colm Flynn joins us now with more. Colm, great to see you. This was some major news over the weekend that went right around the world. What more can you tell us about this?
A very good evening, Tracy. Well, after 2.5 years, what has been called the Vatican trial of the century has come to an astonishing end. A Vatican court convicted Cardinal Angelo Becciu of embezzlement and sentenced him to 5.5 years in prison. In addition, the 75-year-old was given a lifetime ban from holding office in the Vatican and also fined €8,000. Remember, this is the first time a cardinal of the Church has been prosecuted by a Vatican criminal court. And Cardinal Becciu was once a close advisor to Pope Francis and someone who could have possibly been a future pope. So the fact that he is now facing the prospect of being behind bars is extraordinary. Now, as we've reported here, in the past there were a number of charges brought against the Cardinal and 9 other defendants. The various crimes included financial embezzlement and fraud, including sending Vatican money to a charity run by his brother, paying hundreds of thousands of euros to a woman who claimed to be a security consultant in order to secure the release of nuns being held hostage in Africa. It turned out that money was used for luxury items such as handbags and shoes and hotels and so on. But really, Tracy, the trial centred around a Vatican investment managed by Cardinal Becciu in a property in the area of Chelsea, very affluent area in London, that lost the Vatican ultimately over €140 million. The judge said that this was a highly speculative investment, and Cardinal Becciu and a number of other lay investors sought to embezzle the Vatican out of millions of euros. And important to note, Tracy, that all defendants in this case insist no wrongdoing, and Cardinal Becciu has always maintained his innocence, and his lawyer announced after the verdict was announced that they would be appealing, calling the verdict absurd.
Well, Colm, as you mentioned, Cardinal Becciu was sentenced to jail time. Will he see jail time, actually? And if so, would it be in the Vatican?
That's a great question, Tracy, and many legal experts are saying it's unlikely we'll see Cardinal Becciu facing jail anytime soon. His lawyer, as I just mentioned, said he'll be appealing the case, and that appeal will probably not take place until later next year, and it itself could take up to a year. And remember, Pope Francis ultimately is the man in charge. He has the power to grant some sort of pardon. He could give Cardinal Becciu a symbolic punishment like kicking him out of the Vatican, where he's still living at the moment, making him return to his home in Sardinia with a life of penance or something similar. The Vatican does have 2 small, what we would call jail cells, but in reality, should this verdict be upheld, it's likely Cardinal Becciu would be handed over to the Italian State Prison Service, where he would have to serve out the sentence there. All this remains to be seen.
Colm, before I let you go, how important was this case for the Vatican itself and also for Pope Francis?
Well, this was big, Tracy, because from the very beginning of this case, many wondered what the trial would look like, if it was going to be properly resourced, if the Vatican's legal system was even equipped to deal with a case of this magnitude and complexity. And in terms of Pope Francis and his reputation, this could be one of the defining moments of his legacy, because from the very beginning, Pope Francis has said that he's been promising financial reform at the Vatican, and as part of that, more transparency and accountability. The Vatican trial has been conducted, concluded with a guilty verdict, a sentence handed down by a Vatican judge, 5.5 years in prison. So now the question is, will the Cardinal have to do the time? Tracy?
Well, we will continue to follow this. Colm, great to be with you. Thank you so much for that report.
Thank you, Tracy.